Can you please mute if you haven't already? Thank you.
Could you please, or could someone please confirm that you can see my presentation on your screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So good morning all. My name is Mats Johansson and I am the Senior Project Manager on the MPS project, and I'm your host for the workshop today. I also have with me today Sanket Bhatt, who is the project owner. I've got Rishi Amin, who is the Senior Manager of Strategy and Architecture. I've got Charlene Watford, who is the Product Manager, and Sri Gangishettu, who is the Assistant Product Manager. Now, the primary purpose of the workshop today is to keep you, the Cascal clients, informed of the Cascal MPS project progress, industry progress, and provide you high-level timelines. We've also invited your service provider to keep communication synchronized, whilst I will try/endeavor to keep this workshop as non-technical as possible. It would be great if we could keep questions to the end. And the reason for that is I expect that the presentation of the slide pack will take less than 30 minutes. So there will be plenty of room for questions. This is the agenda for today, starting with the introduction and an overview, and then we progress through the timeline, governance, and next steps. So this is the Cascal team that's working on the project. The bald guy is me, and as you may have seen when I showed my picture before, I've got a little bit more hair than I had back then when that photo was taken. Nathan is the head of product. Pallavi Kapoor, Senior Manager of Payment Services, and she may actually be on the call today as well. I thought I saw her there. Sanket I've mentioned, Charlene I have mentioned. We have a number of project coordinators and project implementation managers joining the program early next year. Rishi is the Senior Manager of Strategy and Architecture, and Mark is the working architect. So that's the team at a very high level.
Mats, just before you go on, sorry, I think Rick has a hand up. Do you have a question, Rick? Oh, okay.
Sorry, no, I do not.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, that'd be great if you can help me, please, because I can actually not see that whilst I'm presenting.
Sure.
Thank you. Moving on to a service overview, the MPP currently supports credit-like payments, or we also call them push payments. With MPS, we will introduce, or MPPA has introduced, a debit-like facility, which is the closest comparison to the existing DE payments that we have in working order today in Australia. So the MPS capability will be introduced through payment initiation messages, and the closest parallel to that is the authority you sign when you sign up for a DE. We call these mandates, and of course these will be presented to the customer online. A centralized database for storage of all the mandates. There's a large number of business rules also stored centrally and locally, and a large number of APIs will be built in order to facilitate this new facility. Payment initiation will present a large number of use cases, and I've listed a few that I will let you read yourselves. And they're pretty evident, I think. So I'm going to move on to the next screen. The Cascal MPS Payer Services overview. What we will do to make this as easy transition as possible, we will provide the orchestration of mandate-related notifications and messaging between Cascal and payer clients, and of course, an NPP mandate management system, or as we call it, MMS. We'll provide an easy plugin for customer channels, for the client's digital customer channels, as I said. We are adding MPS services to Cascal existing MPP payment services and enhancing the payments return solution. As part of the solution, we offer end-to-end mandate operations. I will let you peruse the left-hand side rather than me reading them out. But in essence, we are building the MPS service on top of the Cascal MPP hub service that we have provided today. There will continue to be, of course, back office support through our client teams, and there will be reports for reconciliation purposes.
I think there is a question from Susie, if that's correct. I can see the hand up from Susie Rousseau.
Sorry. No, sorry, I don't have a question.
That's all right.
All right. So in terms of timelines, what I'm displaying currently is the MPPA mandated timelines. And what I think is of significant importance is that Cascal will go live on the 31st of October 2021. And from that point up until the client launch on 3rd of December, there is a lot of onboarding activity happening with Cascal clients or yourselves, to put it in another word. There's a number of testing requirements, starting with solo testing, which is a Cascal activity, as is buddy testing. But I'm showing it to let you know that there are testing activities going on throughout 2021. And on the next slide, which is far more pertinent to yourselves, you will see that integration testing, client integration testing, commences in July. And that is when your client or your testing teams will be heavily involved through your service providers to ensure that the solution is fit for purpose. And as I've also noted on this slide, onboarding happens from basically 1st of November and throughout November. I will also take the opportunity to highlight the top 2 arrows, which are rather technical. The swaggers, a light version actually exists on our development portal today for service providers to view. And those swaggers will mature over time. And by end of January or early February, they will be quite fit for purpose for development. Test APIs will be available from end of February. And again, the same concept applies, that it will be a light version available in late February, and that those APIs will mature over time. And obviously, by the time we are getting to integration testing, they will be fully matured, tested, and fit for purpose. In terms of documentation, the product description we will provide prior to Christmas for your perusal and review. CX guidelines have already been shared, and the business consideration document will be provided around the same time as we release the APIs, so in February. Technical documentation, as I mentioned, the API swaggers are already available. The payer API swaggers, I should add, are already available on the Developer Hub. And the development guide will be released together with the APIs in February. We may be able to provide an early view of that developer guide, but the commitment is for February. The bullet points around where can I see them, I think is probably information you already know, but for the purpose of going through the bullet points, the swaggers are on the Development Hub, and the Word documents are available or will be available through the Cascal portal. When are you getting them? I think we have already covered. So I'm going to jump those 2 bullet points, and we will issue this presentation to all of you after we conclude the workshop as well. So if you want to go through the content, you can, and ask questions. The client implementation coordinators and managers, each of Cascal clients will be allocated an implementation coordinator, and that will be your single point of contact for the MPS project. And they will assist you throughout the journey, MPS journey, until the launch in December. Obviously, you can reach out to people like myself as well, but the intent is for the implementation coordinator to be the primary point of contact. The implementation manager will be responsible for communication to clients via webinars on a quarterly basis and schedule workshops with service providers, which will be run by the coordinators together with the solution architects. We will also work with your service providers to align and agree on delivery dates, keeping in mind, of course, the MPPA mandated dates. And any questions you may have, as I mentioned before, can either be through the coordinators, myself, your account manager, or the email address that I'm sure you already have, but for the sake of it, it is nppproduct@cascal.com.au. In terms of governance, the project is governed by a Cascal steering committee that meets on a monthly basis, and it includes all of the senior leadership team and key senior Cascal staff. Cascal also provides MPPA status reporting on a monthly basis, and there is a more comprehensive status report that's issued on a quarterly basis. In terms of risks that I thought I should mention is that there is an industry risk that if a lot of the participants are not ready, there may be a call that the mandated dates may be pushed out in order to provision for the larger mass of participants in this particular big program. That is only a risk point at this point in time. Certainly is not close to eventuate, and we haven't had any communication. But I thought I'll put it out that there is still a risk that this may happen. In terms of engagement, I'm not going to really read out these slides, but there have been a number of workshops with service providers, and these are the dates when they took place. And you may also have attended the webinar that was held late October. Next steps. The next workshop or webinar will be scheduled for March in 2021. There will be workshops with the service provider prior to that. But in terms of webinars, it will be targeted for March 2021. We also need some information from you, and we will provide you a feedback form by the end of next week, latest end of next week. And it would be great if you could complete that and feed that back to us to the MPP email address. And the items that we do need is the release windows. And we are all thinking, of course, November when I say that, because that is when we need to go live according to the MPPA schedule. And because Cuscal is deploying its changes at the end of October, we've only got that 1 month, so it is going to be tight. But if we could have your preferred release window, that'd be much appreciated. I know that it's a long time away, but nevertheless, in terms of planning, it would be very handy to have that. So that will be requested as part of the feedback form. Also, where you as an organization are at in terms of committing resources to this particular project. And it may be that from a readiness point of view, you may be at a funding stage, you may have started design, etc. Be great if you could feed that back to us. In terms of dependencies, risks and issues that you see, would equally be appreciated if you could feed those through. You have been issued a variation letter, and again, the deadline for that, I believe, is 29th of January 2021. Again, great if you could feed that back prior to that date and be available for future workshops and meetings, as we will call and notify you of. And that was the end of the presentation. So I'm sure there'll be some questions, so please feel free. And if you can remember the slide, I will go back to the slide. So open for question, please.
I guess from Ultradata's point of view, we have resources assigned to this project. We have BAs assigned. We have technical people working on the pieces that we know, but yeah, we are still waiting on technical detail. So there's not, we can't do everything at the moment. I guess getting a dev guide in February is going to put us under a lot of pressure to have the product ready for yeah, the end of the year, so end of 2021, rolled out to 45 clients against 3 sponsors. So yeah, everyone needs to understand that it's going to be another tight project.
What I can commit to is that if I can release that dev guide early, I certainly will. And we may do the same thing as we did when if you recall the arrow with the swaggers, where we provide you a light version of the dev guide.
Yep.
And then it's maturing over time to assist you further.
Yeah, that's going to be appreciated.
Great.
Yeah,
I will take an action on that, and I will monitor progress on that particular development guide as I have to date, but I will continue to do that and communicate when and if we can release that light version of the dev guide early.
The other point I guess I want to make is onboarding in November will not give Ultradata enough time to have it done by December.
Yes, Rick, it's Kelly Sampson
here. We may
here.
need to put thinking hats on how we can accommodate that.
I think we need to just make sure the NPPA understand these risks. I know you said you've raised risks with them, but we need to be very, very clear with the NPPA, because they like to set dates that are unachievable for Ultradata.
Right. So, Rick, I'm sure we'll have many more discussions around this and how we can accommodate it. I think if we can put a sketchy plan or a plan together of what, and making assumptions, of course, what you would see as a doable implementation plan.
3 months. 3 months at least.
Right.
At least for 45 clients.
Right. No, I do know you have a lot of clients, so we do need to have further discussions on this, certainly.
Sorry, Kelly, were you going to say something?
Yeah, sorry, it's Kelly Sampson here from GMCU. I guess that was the point I was going to make, is that, we're going to be reliant on Ultradata to work with us before we can determine what sort of test windows we are looking at. So I'm not sure how meaningful it will be to go to us individually in terms of test windows. We're going to really be reliant on that implementation schedule in terms of readiness and capability to even have code in our test environment to support that testing cycle. Now,
that's understood.
Which we need requirements from Cuscal, from Indu, from ASL. We need to understand exactly whether or not there's going to be some, joint activity or not. So we're not even at that stage yet. So we've got a big project ahead of us again.
Yes, noted, and thank you for your feedback. We will be working with you closely, trying to, of course, accommodate as far as possible within the current mandated dates. Are there any other questions? All right, I'll take the silence as there are no other questions.
Sorry, it's Kelly Sampson here again. I do have a further question. You did indicate that you'd released the CX information. Is that are you referring to the webinar, or is there further information that I should be able to access or has been issued?
Sanket, could you reply to that, please?
Yes, Kelly. So the CX guidelines have been provided to all the service providers based on the developer webinar that we have been having, which is one of the key code document that we ourselves are building on. And likewise, we are ensuring that the same information is getting transmitted to even all the developers. So for UDA, I think they have been across the CX guidelines for a while. And we also intend to, it should be available on Cuscal Connect, If not, then it will be available by end of this week, potentially on the website or Cuscal portal that you access usually.
Fantastic. I can see the webinar, but I was just interested if there was an associated document. So if there is, I'd just appreciate the link. I couldn't find it in my just at my quick run around.
No worries.
Hi, it's Susie from Police Bank. I do have a question around the testing. And we are reliant on Ultra Data to be able to provide us with the test windows. But is there a rough test plan available so we can try and figure out at least how long this is going to take in terms of resources, so we can try and plan out next year?
At this early stage, no, there is no test plan. The only thing that I showed you today is the time frame, which is from 1st of July to end of August. But in terms of actually test scripts and what we need to do in that particular window, no, it's not available at this point.
Okay.
That is a work in progress.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I take that as or the silence as a no, and we will be shipping the presentation around in case you got any further questions or it jogs your memory for the questions. We will also ship the recording to you in case there are people who want to listen to the recording who have been unable to attend this seminar or this workshop. So Sri, if you could please turn off the recording, that would be much appreciated. And thank you so much, all of you, for attending. Have a good day.
Thank you.